Hello and welcome to another episode of Renegade Radio, episode 3 I believe. So I've got a bit of a cough and I'm going to stop with a crap disc jockey voice. This is the preview for CyberMania, my fan interactive pay-per-view, which in hindsight isn't a good idea because I don't have that many fans. I know Michael Cole says tens of thousands and there's quite a big crowd there, but in terms of real flesh and blood fans, it's small. I'm going to talk about the gaming side of this for a minute and the struggles that I've had to go through in terms of bringing this pay-per-view together. The first thing is, I made a decision when I decided to record my pay-per-views. When it came to CyberMania, I would do the weeks between Hellbound and CyberMania, so people would get to see the RCW guys in action, and then it could help the voting more. I don't have a big fan base. That's the thing. No one's voted on YouTube. No one's left a comment below. I mean, I know that's about as tiresome as Tout or Twitter now, but I've had to put it in there. I've got the votes on the Facebook page. I pretty much know what matches I'm going to do, but if you want to see something different, then, just leave a comment below. It's a big process. I did the brand extension. Heatwave, Revolution, separate brands. Revolution got Renegade. I figured give Heatwave a secondary show to go with, and showcase all the talent. And so that brought in Breakout. And I like the best thing about Breakout for me is the arena. It's just seeing the Heatwave arena, but in two different shades of blue. And I like those different shades of blue. But one of the problems with running 5 shows, I can write 5 shows. There's RCWA as well. I can write 5 shows, I can do that. I just play the matches on my console. I'll play them or simulate them. Well, sometimes I'll even make them up. And then write the things that happen in between. If a match doesn't go the way I want it to go, if I simulate a match and I'm thinking, I'll nail it, and he loses, then I can put in a little explanation as to why. Writing the shows also gives you more freedom because all you've got is your imagination and a keyboard. Recording the shows, you're bound by what's on the game. You're limited. So I use a mix of Story Designer for the scenes and Universe/Exhibition for the matches. Because I don't like the Story Designer match setup. The heels get cheered, the faces get booed. It's all too random. Consequently, this means I can't book a match properly. I can't book interference, for example. And on 2K14, when someone interferes, the music plays for like ever. If it's a hard drive track, which kind of takes away from it. So I tend to try and blend in as best I can. So creating 5 shows for 4 weeks takes time. It's taken me. I started it last year. There was so many problems. So many different factors. I started a job, I have a child, I didn't have time to do it all. And then along came 2K14, which reinvigorated my interest, yet after a few weeks killed it again, because Universe, you couldn't book Universe without it freezing, and Story Designer, you couldn't choose your created wrestlers for the interview scenes, whatnot, without it freezing. That seems to have been resolved somewhat now, which is good, and I'm marching on. But it killed the interest for a while, and it's only just coming back, and it's strong. It's strong now, the interest is. But again, it's time and stuff, and 5 shows, each consisting of 5 matches, and then what goes in between the matches, writing the commentary. It's a long process. It's why I don't record my weekly shows, because if I did that, we'd still be heading to anarchy. I do think this year will be the last CyberMania that I do. I mean, I've only done 2. I've 1, and I'm doing the second one. Last year was easier because I didn't do video for year 1. didn't record anything. I only started recording pay-per-views when at Uprising 2. So the first year and a couple of months of RCW is all in text. I could go back and do it, but that was what Renegade Rewind was for. But that never really took off. I never got around to doing that much. But yeah, like I said, the fan base isn't there. It's a case of it's not big enough to do an interactive pay-per-view. So this CyberMania will probably be the last one, unless I build up a fan base later and I can resurrect it, or maybe resurrect it as just an episode of Heatwave or an episode of Revolution. I do like the interactive concept. It's just not enough of a fan base to do an interactive thing, especially now it's on video, because I haven't got that many subscribers on YouTube, and you know, the subscribers I do have, they're in the Facebook groups and shit like that, so you know, the votes are there. I'm not saying what next year's replacement will be, but I have a replacement in mind, and I've already got the arena set up. Moving on, let's talk about the matches that are going to occur. Well, you know, the matches that we know so far about, the title matches, the Money in the Bank match. Now, a breaking game fade with a little video log thing I did before I'd preview the pay-per-view, I would review the pay-per-view after. I will do the same here. Afterwards, after the event has occurred, I will come back and do another cast and give my thoughts on that cast. So we've got on the CyberMania Pre-Show, the RCWA CyberMania Pre-Show, because that's what I do. The Academy gets the Pre-Show. That's why you never see any Pre-Show RCW matches. That's why all the matches I book for the show stay on the show. So we've got the RCWA Tag Team Championships. We've got Scorn and Rufio, the Disciples of Darkness. They're going up against the Assassins, and Scorn and Rufio won the tag team titles at the Uprising Pre-Show, and they've held them since. So that's April, May, June, July, 4 months. It's a good reign. I tend to think 3 to 4 months is a decent enough title reign, and in no way transitional. But we've got the Assassins, who have only been in a few weeks. The game weeks, they've been in for over a year now. But I digress. Blazing the trail, they're just a destructive force. They came back to my friend Mike, who is Stunshot. I was looking up for a way to bring his character in, and there was another character friend, online friend, Assyrian, Antoine. Wanted to bring him in. Mike's a Terminator fan. I didn't want to go the full Terminator, like the cyborgs and shit like that, but I did want to dress him kind of like Terminator, leather jacket, sunglasses, Kevlar top, jeans. So I thought I'd team them together, bring them in as just a heel kind of tag team that just badass, all-out destruction. And the Disciples of Darkness, that it has been hinted that they are maybe the RCWA version of the Blood Brothers. Nothing confirmed and nothing denied. I will let that play out and see what people think. But it should make for an interesting tag team title match, because you've got the Disciples of Darkness, who have been pretty dominant. I mean, they beat the Powerhouse for the tag titles, and the Powerhouse were the first and at that point only tag team champions in RCWA. And then you've got the Assassins that have just come in, and they're just the bastards, man. Okay, moving on, we've got the Hardcore title. I use that with quotes because it's David Heavy Metal's title. It's not officially recognised by RCWA, but he just likes to defend it. He just likes to class himself as the Hardcore champion. And there have been matches, if you've seen his non-hardcore matches. There was the week 2 Heavy Metal Brad Taylor match. Straight up singles match. It was the bit where Coulter called him a cock. That was, you know, Heavy Metal didn't really get much offense in. He kind of got a bit in. He was good at his reversals and shit, but it seems that Heavy Metal is he's a hardcore wrestler. I mean, the guy that the character is based on said to me, wanted it to be based like ECW type Tommy Dreamer and all that, which is fine. And it's kind of a cool note that it does play into the character a bit, that the AI version seems to struggle in a non-hardcore setting. And, you know, we might see a bit more of that being played up in the coming months. Brandon Palmer, one of the new guys that I brought in recently. It's only been in a few weeks. It's just an open invitation, so Palmer answers it. Although I'm not sure if that was meant to be. It'll be fucking announced, yeah. It's no big surprise, it doesn't really matter. It could probably be announced on the website, I don't know. I have to be careful what I say. Yeah, Brandon Palmer, incidentally, was the name of the WCWA owner. If you listen to my first cast about my gaming experiences, I talked about ECWA and WCWA. Brandon Palmer was the name that I gave to the owner of WCWA. So that would be that. Tyler Stevens versus Travis Stevens. Twin brother tag team. They split up in the main event of week 1, I believe. Was it week 2? Probably week 2. Sorry about that. I was on the Stevens twins, wasn't I? Yes. They split up. Tyler abandoned Travis during the main event against TJ Gospel and Jason Hammond. It was week 2. Yes, it was week 2. I didn't expect that. That was a universe booking. Even though I turned breakups and formations off, I turned heel turns off, I turned injuries off, because I had way too much of that during year 1 on WWE 12, and it was just, I didn't want it. I wanted to be in control and, you know, book it myself. But that scene still happened, and it was a scene that recorded. It was a scene that will be on YouTube. That is something I could have replayed the match. I could have worked around it, but I just thought, nah, we'll see how it goes. I was planning on turning the Stevens twins faces, but now at least one of them will be a face going forward. And yeah, we'll see how this match goes. It will be an AI match. I won't play it, and we'll see how it plays out. Brother versus brother. Television Championship. Brad Taylor versus Tyler Getz. Brad Taylor is my son. He's held the title since February. It's not nepotism, because, you know, most of his opponents haven't been real people, or they aren't people that, or they've been based on real people, but those other real people don't play the game, or they're not interested. I just use their image, kind of thing. Yeah, he's facing Tyler Getz. Tyler Getz has actually been involved in this feud, the real Tyler Getz, but I haven't spoke to him in ages, and it's like I don't know, he doesn't seem to support it. He supports his own stuff that he does, which is fair enough. I supported that for a while. I no longer do. He doesn't support mine. It's a case of we drifted. We met online and did this thing, but then we just grew apart real quick. And it's no fault on either side. I have no interest in his stuff, and he has no interest in mine. It's simple as. But the character he wanted to be was, well, as you see, is a dick, heel, major heel that loves himself too much, won't even shake his own dad's hand and all that bollocks. It's an interesting character for a guy that's just debuted and he already expects to be on the main event. That does happen, you know. You've seen it with Jez Clark. Difference between Getz and Jez Clark is Jez Clark's someone that he's a former ECWA champion. I will say that. So yeah, Jez is someone that I used to know back in the day. Yeah, it should be an interesting match. Getz is not a pushover. I've noticed when I've fought against Getz, there have been some, you know, he's a tough cookie. He is. He's a hard one to beat. He's not like heavy metal. He's hard to beat, and it should be an interesting match. Chris Partridge versus Jason Hammond. Two other people that I have known. Haven't seen either in ages, but I used to work with Partridge actually. It wasn't an overly pleasant experience, but it's probably why as a heel now. He was my world when I played my WWE universe a few years ago on SmackDown vs Raw 2011. He was actually my world heavyweight champion at one point, but you know we had this issue, and you know I haven't seen him since. But you know I've booked the character differently now. He's a heel. He's a bully, and it maybe comes across as a bit personal sometimes, but you know it's nothing seriously offensive to either of us, I wouldn't believe. Jason Hammond, friend of TJ Gospel, turned face after the Renegade Rumble, or was it? No, it was the Rage in the Cage pre-show. He turned face at. Got respect for TJ, but you know TJ's being a bit of an arrogant bitch now, so it's kind of like a role reversal, if you will. And then we've got the RCWA Championship match. No, we've got Powerhouse versus Jesse Braddock and Paul Garcia. Paul Garcia is a new character in RCWA, but it's a character I've used before in the past. Jesse Braddock is new. Powerhouse, first RCWA Tag Team Champions, longest reigning RCWA Tag Team Champions. Jacob Black was someone I used in the SmackDown vs Raw 2011 when I did my version of NXT. I think Ross Lee was his mentor. That's why he has the star in his tights, because Ross Lee has the stars in his tights, and Jacob Black had a singular star. I think I was planning on doing a season 2 of NXT, and Seth Ronson was going to be part of that. Yeah, because he was in the same group as Landon Scott. Jared Scott was the first NXT winner, and he went on to win WWE Championship. Landon Scott was going to be part of season 2 with Jacob Black, Seth Ronson, sorry, and some others. But that was before I scrapped it and got into RCW. TJ Gospel defends the RCWA Championship against Dwayne Huntley. Dwayne Huntley is another one. He's an RCWA, WCWA guy. He was someone that I found on cause.ws and just used the formula. And I don't think I've overly recreated. It looks pretty much the same, but I gave him ring gear instead of vest and jeans. And TJ is an ECWA alumni, although that's in an alternate universe. That's 2 WWE games, if you will. He beat Jez Clark. I did not intend to lose that match as Jez Clark, but he hit his comeback and knocked me down long enough to escape the cage. And now I thought to myself at the Hellbound match, I thought, should I replay it or not, or let it roll out? Jez wasn't pinned, so I came up with the injury for him, that he had an ankle injury, which would have affected his movement in a cage match, especially the climbing. TJ utilised that, and he won, and he beat Jez Clark, and he did what he considers the unthinkable, even though Jez Clark's only been in for a couple of months. Ending a 2-month undefeated streak isn't a massive deal, but to TJ it is, more than winning a title, and he considers that bragging rights. Dwayne Huntley. I gave him Chavo Guerrero's entrance in WWE 12, and he had it through to WWE 13. The thing about it is that when the character's set to face with that entrance, there is a fucking raucous pop, man. It's massive cheers. And some of these entrances would have huge cheers, others would be just quiet as fuck. And I've noticed on 2K14 the cheers are less so in certain entrances. WWE 13, it was all the preset entrances, and Chavo's was one of the preset because he'd left at the point. But he still had the massive cheer, when others like the Kurt Angle entrance or the Booker T, and Booker T was part of it, wasn't he? But other entrances, Kurt Angle and all that, Hulk Hogan didn't have massive cheers. Watch Betty, it comes out with Hulk Hogan's entrance, and it's yay and stuff. But Chavo's entrance always had the cheers, and so I figured I'll jump on top of that. The crowd obviously likes him, or the crowd likes that entrance, and it was a case of, how do I get him into the main event? Because I was going to push him up to face Jez, but you know, Jez lost. So now he's facing TJ for the championship. Dwayne Huntley is a guy I consider a future star, and I know I run the show and that, but I would consider him a future RCWA champion. It's just a case of when. Not to say TJ's been a slouch as champion, because this new persona is taken on, even though he isn't a heel. It's less vanilla. It adds more depth to the character. So we'll have to see what happens at the pre-show. Now we'll go on to the main RCW CyberMania pay-per-view. Bear in mind the RCWA Pre-Show, none of it is fan determined except who goes into the graduation match. I'll get to that later. So CyberMania, we have a Money in the Bank ladder match. 6-man, winner gets a title opportunity at any point in the next year. You know the rules, it's a Money in the Bank match. Last year it was still fan voted, and I was voted in, and I won. That was a hell of a match. It was brutal, but it was worth it. And you know, a Money in the Bank match is one of those that, when you like to be in control as much as me, it's hard. It's a tough match because it's a case of, I went in there with my character and I wanted to win, and I won. Cashed in, became RCW champion, but it was by no means a walkthrough or a cakewalk or a walk in the park or whatever you say. It was tough, and these Money in the Bank matches are. Last year there was no brand extension, so it was just 6 RCW guys. This year it's 3 from Heatwave, 3 from Revolution, and it's going to be fun. I feel it's going to be brutal, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be fucking insane. That's the way I'd call it. But yeah, I've placed my votes, I've put my votes in for who I want to enter, and other people have voted as well, but you know, it's still open. It's not closed off at any point yet. And then next up we have the Intercontinental Championship match. Christian Fox defends against either Ross Lee, CW Longley, or Disco Dave. If you've been following the show, you know that there's a triple threat match at Renegade. Intercontinental Championship on the line, Ross Lee defending against Fox and Longley. This took place on WWE 13, and after the match I was straight on the phone to a friend because it was just fucking stupid. It was essentially a handicap match. I was playing as Ross, hoping to retain, but Fox and Longley would not fight each other. At first I thought it was this nice little touch because they were in a stable together, a tag team, and it was just like this allegiance that went after the champion, common enemy. No, it happens with most triple threat matches. Didn't happen with the Lassiter, Anderson and Huntley match though. That was kind of even. But you know, most of the time the triple threats on WWE 13 were essentially handicap matches. Even Fatal 4-Ways, once you eliminate one person, it pretty much became a handicap match. So going back to Fox, Longley, Ross, and Ross lost. Fox became Intercontinental Champion. I wanted Ross to have a decent long reign before he lost it and moved on. But no, Fox kind of put a spanner in the works. Fox and Longley even. Eliminated Longley. Fox had Ross in a leverage pin. I was cocky, I went for the reversal, didn't work. Missed the reversal, got pinned. Christian Fox is a decent champion. He is a BWA Triple Crown winner. He and I, when I was Guardian Prime, before this was pre-Desirous, won the BWA Tag Team Championships. He's been a Skyline champion, he has been a BWA World Heavyweight champion. Took him a few years to get the BWA gold, but he got there. That is for another cast though. I will be doing a BWA podcast because we have the Centre Stage reunion and I don't want people thinking, what's this about? But yeah, the choices are Ross Lee, the former champion, naturally. CW Longley, who Ross Lott defeated at Uprising to capture the gold. And Disco Dave, who has scored wins over both Fox and Longley in recent weeks. Disco Dave just got married. Congrats, man. So yeah, it's one of the... Disco Dave was the first hardcore champion. He lost that title to Ross Lee. He lost a rematch at the first Uprising to Ross Lee. He lost a hardcore championship match against me at Uprising too. Disco Dave has had hard championship matches. He has had a championship. he knows what it's like to perform in those situations. Rock bottom off a ladder, man. Uprising 1. Sorry, Ross bottom, that's what I call it. But, so, Disco's no stranger to gold, he's no stranger to championship matches. He is a bit of a comedy character with his boogie woogie disco dancing and shit, but, you know, he can get it done. He's beaten 2 former champions. So, and has been a champion himself, so it should be an interesting scenario for that. Another interesting scenario would be Fox and Longley. They had that match on Revolution that ended way too quick. It seems they're on the same page, bit of dissension, but they were just playing up to the crowd after, probably to make up for the bad match. But, you know, title on the line, it has to be a good match if it's Longley and Fox. There can't be any of this, oh, well, we're friends, we won't do it, because that's just stupid. Ross Lee will want that belt back as a former champion, and it's personal because of the history between Fox and Ross, Ross and Longley. It's that is another scenario that kind of is intriguing. And we've got the World Tag Team Championships. The Scott brothers, who won them a couple of weeks ago on Breakout, the debut episode of Breakout. They will face either the Syndicate, Jay Cassidy and Rambo Johnson, the Two Dirty Bitches, Rich's Two Bitches and Dirty Dino, or the Kitchings, Ash and Brent. Ash and Brent, a former BWA, the Two Dirty Bitches, a former ECWA. No, that doesn't count again, but yet it says that I've used them. That's what I'm going for there. I've used those characters in the past. The Syndicate, Rambo Johnson was part of the first NXT when I did my WWE universe. He was in the same group as Jared Scott and Jacob Black. And Robbie Flash. Robbie Flash was in the first NXT. Yeah. Yeah. Good times. But, it's this thing, based at, I'll go through the teams and what they would bring to it. You've got the Kitchings, who, do you remember the tag team turmoil? And, I'm asking you a question as if you're going to answer. Yeah, the tag team turmoil, I believe, at Bloodshed, when the Scots went through it and they won the tag team gauntlet match, and then the Kitchings came out later, and the Kitchings came out at the end, and Ash made his debut because Brent was just a singles wrestler, but I signed Ash, and they won, and then a rematch was given, and the Kitchings got disqualified. They weren't supposed to get disqualified. I was planning on having the Scots win cleanly, the Kitchings stay face for a bit, but no, they got disqualified, and I thought, well, fuck that, that's ruined the match, how can I come back from this? And I just had the Kitchings beat the shit out of the Scots. So yeah, they turned heel. That happened at Hellbound. So there's unfinished business there, because you know, the Kitchings kind of snapped and they've been beating people up. I think Ash lobbed Chuck about somewhere. Yeah, Chuck Adams, the Heatwave interviewer, he got a decking from Ash. But yeah, Ash is the former BWA World Champion as well, so yeah, not to be messed with. Syndicate, they're kind of building their way up. It's been a bit hit and miss with the Syndicate. With Rambo and Cassidy. When Jay Cassidy first debuted, I simulated all his matches, and Rambo was the first guy he beat. So it's a case of, you know, I put them together as faces, then I turned them heel, and they joined with Rex Wesley and the Syndicate, and formed the Syndicate faction. Rex turned face, they've kept the Syndicate name. But, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with them. Well, I know what's going in the long run, because I'm a long-term thinker. It's just short-term sometimes. I'm like, well, But, yeah, the Syndicate could make for an interesting matchup, because, you know, they have been signalling their intent. I mean, they attacked Landon on Heatwave, and the way I do this sometimes is, I mean, wins and losses matter, obviously. But sometimes it's about character as well. That's why in the Tough 20 that I did for the first year of RCW, that's why Travis Taylor was in there. He lost way more than he won. But I just had fun with his character. His character came across as fun. And there was something there. And it's, you've seen it in recent weeks, he throwing out comic book references and shit. decked Roscoe, he made the Gandalf reference and stuff. I just enjoy using the Travis Taylor character. And it's not because my last name's Taylor. We're not related, by the way, I'm white. That's not a racial slur, just saying. No, but I do like Travis Taylor's car. I like the look that I gave him. And the entrance music, dedication to my ex. It's a shame Billy Gunn's entrance isn't on 2K14, so if you watch one of his WWE 13 matches when he's got the Billy Gunn entrance, and he lobs the bottle, right, as Lloyd's like, baby! It's just, the timing is perfect, man. Obviously there's no Billy Gunn entrance now, so. But if you see him at CyberMania, he'll have it, because this is CyberMania is a 13 event, WWE 13 recorded. But yeah, that's the thing that I was getting to with the Syndicate. It's about building them as characters, not just giving them wins and losses. You can lose matches, but if your character builds, then it kind of compensates for that. And, you know, the Syndicate, Cassidy and Partridge are kind of... Cassidy and Rambo, sorry, are kind of in that category. Not winning as much, but it's not like they're not doing anything. There's character development in the meantime. And then, what have we got next? Oh! Radhikas versus Omega. That was actually before. But, there's no voting on this. It's a straight up last man standing match. Radhikas. You've heard of Radhikas. I've told you about Radhikas. You might have seen Radhikas. Omega is someone I've been using for a few years now. Radhikas was someone who used on the WWE side, but didn't use him in RCW immediately because he was doing UWA. Right now he's doing his Parallel World UWA, which gives me more freedom with him in RCW. When he gets back to his Our World sort of thing, the shared universe type thing, then, you know, I might have to let him go then. But for now, it's just Radhikas is RCW. He's also ex-BWA. So, I've known Ben a lot. I've known Ben longer than I've known Ant. Ant's Omega, Ben's Radhikas. And, you know, Rad came in, he wanted a feud, and I had nothing going for him. I've just turned him heel, Omega. I had nothing going for him. Figured I'd put him in a little program with Rad, and me and Rad actually booked this together. He had creative control. And it's kind of, again, it goes back to the limitations of the game, what you're given, what you have to work with. If I wasn't recording any of this and uploading it, then it probably might have gone more to plan. There are certain things we've had to work around, like the interferences and shit like that. Ben wanted a Fight Club rules match, which is a UWA match, and it's basically last man standing mixed with I Quit. And you can't combine the two. You can combine last man standing and submission, I think, but you can't combine last man standing and I Quit. You can't combine I Quit with anything. So we just made it a basic last man standing match, which works, because basically if you're knocked out for 10, you're not going to say the words I Quit because you're going to be unconscious. But yeah, that's a lot's gone into that rivalry, and because it's one of those that's set in stone, it's easier to do. It's face versus heel. We know who the opponents are, what the match is. It's been one of the easier feuds to run during this period. Hardcore Championship match. I've been Hardcore Champion for 23 weeks at this point. It's the longest reign. I beat Dragason's reign by 1 week. I think Dragason beat Ross Lee's reign by 1 week. I'm defending Desirous against Wong McDonald. And Wong is one of those happy victims, like Paul Haynes, of Uprising 2. We had this thing, the UWA Championship match on an RCW pay-per-view, and consequently people were left off the card to accommodate the UWA guys, and I played it like those people didn't like it. Paul Haynes, Wong McDonald, the Scots left off their own card in favour of people that weren't even part of the company, and it's worked out for the better. I think Wong's progressed character-wise and in-ring wise. Paul Haynes the same. Paul Haynes leading this revolution, if you will, trying to get himself the opportunities he feels he deserves, and the opportunities he does deserve. He's, you know, did you see the breakout? I mean, I know he was first eliminated in the breakout 4-way, and for the record, that breakout 4-way I simulated. I did not play my character Desirous in that. it was simulated. And funny little thing, I'll go back to another problem I've had with building, creating this and coming up in the build up to this. All the matches for the TV shows were already recorded and stored on an external hard drive. The external hard drive died. Yes, I lost my backup. And there was little room on my laptop, so that was the only copies I had. I had to go back and redo it. The first Fatal 4-Way, that no one will ever see now, was slightly better. But I watched this match, and bear in mind, eliminations weren't on the first Fatal 4-Way. I turned eliminations off. But this Fatal 4-Way, I loved it. I just sat there watching it, and it was a case of... It was the thing like, what will happen to my character? Will my character be pinned? Will he submit? My character won. But it was a case of, if I'd lost, I would have been happy with it. I wouldn't have minded. So it's Desirous versus Wong McDonald, sorry. Yeah, Wong has progressed. He has done well in his matches. He lost to Steinmetz. He wasn't meant to. Fucking Wilf. Desirous be having words with his blood brothers about that one. But yeah, can't win every match. I mean, I win a lot of matches. Even when I don't play the matches, I seem to win. It's that thing. Seriously, I don't play every match of my character, but it's one of those things. It's going to be, you know, Wong's small, Desirous has a size advantage, Wong has the speed advantage. It's going to be one of those scenarios. Hellbound was a good match. CyberMania should be a good match. It's a case of what kind of match it'll be, though, because it could be a steel cage, a table, or a falls count anywhere. Personally, I would go with, as champion, probably the falls count anywhere. Having to put someone through a table and being fluked because they put you through a table, or going through the Jez Clark TJ Gospel comeback moment where I can't get up in time to stop him climbing. Not cool. So I would probably, as champion, I would go for the falls count anywhere. And I am the champion, so. But don't let me influence you if you're listening. Then we have the RCWA graduation match. I've graduated Chris Partridge. Cassidy and Rambo do double duty on both shows. That's what I do with the RCWA guys that graduate for a few months. I keep them in the academy while they're double dutying on the main roster. I did it with Fox and Longley. I do it with the syndicate members. I will do it with whoever gets voted into this. Basically, I'm trying to build the roster. That's all it is, giving opportunity to people, to those that are deserving of it. So it's a case of choose two RCWA guys. Their opponents, I have decided them. I'm not going to say who it is, but based on, you know, votes and stuff, assuming they're not anywhere else on the card, they will be the ones that will face the two RCWA guys. If the RCWA guys win, they get graduation to the main roster. One will go on Heatwave, one will go on Revolution. Whoever scores the pin gets to choose their brand. There's not a lot I can talk about with this match. It's that simple. It's the entire RCWA roster, barring anyone who hasn't graduated, so I can't really go into specifics about characters. That brings us to the main event. RCW Heavyweight Championship on the line. Sean O'Savoury defending against Paul Haynes in a rematch from Hellbound. Haynes won the #1 contender match at Anarchy. Roscoe Quinn decided to put Scorpion and Griffin Abels in the match as well at Bloodshed. O'Savoury retained, and then O'Savoury retained in a screw job at Hellbound, but he wasn't involved in that. He had the Celtic / Yes lock on, and Roscoe rang the bell before Haynes tapped. There is no special referee. It will either be a straight up singles match, a submission match, or a 30-minute Ironman match. Whoever wins gets the title, basically. No special referees, no shenanigans, no interference. So it's just going to be, I'm hoping it's a clinic, because they're two of the best technical wrestlers I've got on the roster, O'Savoury and Haynes. And Haynes has come along tremendously in terms of his place, popularity, personality. This whole uprising thing, the happy accident, has been probably the best thing that could happen to him. O'Savoury, been good as RCW champion, he's held it since uprising. Let's not forget O'Savoury eliminated 17 people in the Renegade Rumble. Hell of a bar setter. That bar won't be raised for a while, I don't think. It should be a good match, and it will be resolution to determine. It will just end it. They need to know, the fans need to know. It's as simple as that. Obviously there's a stipulation, the winner will represent Revolution as RCW champion. So if Paul Haynes wins, he will switch places with O'Savoury. O'Savoury will go to Heatwave, and Paul Haynes will represent Revolution as RCW champion. There is still the issue of the World Championship to be determined in regards to Heatwave, what Heatwave will do with the lack of a World Championship, but at CyberMania, Desaris will deliver on that promise that he made regarding resolution surrounding that. And that is all I've got for the CyberMania preview. Gone through all the matches, a few other little things. I'm back after the pay-per-view, where I will do a review. I will talk about what happened, what could have gone better, and all the stuff in between. So until then, well, you shall hear me next time.